We are ready, as President Putin has repeatedly said. We are always ready for negotiations. But we do not see readiness on the other side, and most importantly, we do not see negotiable partners. However, the fact that the Ukrainian regime, which came to power after the coup in February 2014, is absolutely non-negotiable, in my opinion, cannot even be proved to anyone. Even those who cover it, finance it, and arm it know the value of this regime. And I would say the Europeans are defending Zelensky with such ferocious force only because he is fighting against the Russian Federation for the Europeans, for the Western interests, for the idea of the West to suppress Russia as a competitor. At the same time, I do not even want to quote, but it still holds the post of the head of the foreign policy structure of the European Union, Kaja Kallas, when she declares, "We demand that Russia sit down at the negotiating table, but first let us reduce our army and reduce our weapons." It becomes some kind of a ceiling. And then, frankly, she declares, as many other European representatives have said, that Europe will not be an intermediary at the negotiating table. And then who will Europe be? Unfortunately, this line is now dominating. For me, Europe is in its current state under the leadership of these elites. But for a world diplomat, it is a cutoff point, by and large. They have a huge number of chances, and they have failed all of them. Rutte went to Kyiv, where he said that Ukraine would join NATO. He did not care that the United States, represented by President Trump, considered it unacceptable. Rutte just hugged Zelensky and said that Ukraine would join NATO. As a result of the struggle against the Kyiv regime, the recognition of the reality on the ground of Ukraine's population in the southeast has been publicly declared by Zelensky, and Europe supports him. We will stop the war. We will build up our forces, and then we will continue to conquer these lands in order to restore the Nazi regime. It is easier for them to accept Ukraine as a member of NATO than to include it in the European Union. It was very strange when, after we agreed to the proposal of the United States in Anchorage, the United States began to change its position, and instead of promoting the same proposals to the Ukrainians, they now pretend that the parties should sort it out themselves. This is not very consistent. Marco Rubio, speaking in Congress, said that the United States is not an intermediary because it consistently supports Ukraine, continuing to supply arms and military equipment in the same volumes as before. It is important not only to have a dialogue, but also to implement what we agreed on. I would like to say once again that we reached a very clear understanding in Alaska based on the specific proposal of the United States. If the United States had really promoted its initiative, I think we would have been at the negotiating table a long time ago, and the military actions would have been stopped.